Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
Welcome back, guys. If you watched my last video, you know my spirits are high. I had just won my first match of the day, finishing a rear naked choke in the first couple minutes. The adrenaline is pushing my heart out of my chest, and my ego is sitting on top of a mountain, ready to take on the world. But Nate has other plans. Alright guys, I think you guys are going to like this one, so let's jump right into it. We start by looking for each other's ties. Immediately, I can tell he's going to be a lot tougher than my previous opponent. Reason being, he's looking for inside ties and he's trying to off-balance me. Eventually, after all this hand fighting, we establish our over-under hooks, which are quite common, and he drops to his knees. I'm not sure what he was looking for, but he had a straight shot to my hip if he wanted to attack the single, which at the same time, I had a chance to snap him down into the front head. But that wouldn't be very white belt of me now, would it? So what do? Well, I do what any non-wrestling, grappling, white belt would do. Give him double unders.
Let me tell you something. All right. Let me tell you something. Wait.
My first thought after being thrown across the mat was, obviously, that was painful. Secondly, I looked to put my frames in. From here, I think this was actually quite good timing. I feel him transitioning into the front headlock position, and I explode forward into guard. Maybe it was there was a little luck too. Nate holds on to what I believe to be called rubber guard. It seems that he was looking for the reverse triangle, which I was okay with as long as I don't let go of that leg. Well, I almost do. As he looks to recut an angle, I feel an opening and I pass his guard. Now it's time to be offensive. We look to establish our side control. As he puts in his frames, I attack the head. But as soon as I look for a crossface, I leave open a massive opening for him to regard. As soon as he tries to regard, the scramble begins. We fight and we fight and we fight, and we settle for half guard. Aww. I then realize my side control game is about as effective as a screen door in a submarine. Nate did almost hit a beautiful elevator sweep on me there, but my backstep game was just too strong. From here, he goes for another triangle attempt. We shrug it off. Guys, he's been working me for the past 3 minutes. I mean, I'm getting opportunities like they're showing themselves, but I cannot seem to progress. Look, guys, I gotta get something going. I lay on some heavy shoulder pressure and look to advance. I try to look for the knee on belly, but it isn't there. And for God's sakes, I'm not gonna let him re-guard again. I was finally able to cut the corner and slide my knee to his hip. From here, I look to put all of my strength into my shoulder pressure, squishing his face to the mat. He goes up for a wild buggy choke, but I believe he's using the wrong foot to achieve this choke. I felt quite comfortable sitting here. I don't know if he thought he had it in or not, but I was able to breathe just fine. Simultaneously, I know I had his arm and his head in a head and arm choke, and if I could slide to the other side of the mat, well then I had a real chance at a submission. But instead of that, guess what? He retains his guard! Guys, the pressure is on and my conditioning is starting to show. I remember looking over at the clock and seeing 4 minutes left. And my coach was over there yelling, "You got plenty of time, Zach, you got plenty of time." And I remember the only thing I could think of at the time was, fuck me. 4 more minutes of this shit, God. One thing I want to point out that Nate has done very well, not only here, but the whole match, is A, controlling my posture, and B, extending me as you see here. This armbar attempt was actually super close. If he had better control over my arm or even the elbow, I'm tapping for sure. But we do manage to survive. We land back in his guard. It seems that Nate got sick of playing guard this whole match, so he decides to pull me into mount. He holds me there for a while, and I start to realize, hey, guard isn't so bad. Let's go back there. Hey guys, we have a little break as we play guard yet once again. Here's a question. Since there are no points scored in this match and it's submission only, who do you think is up in points? Leave it in the comments. As we settle back in, Nate seems to have reverted back to his rubber guard, and from here, I am looking to pressure pass. He shoots up a triangle, and yet again I shrug it off. We are once again on the offensive. I use all of my strength into my shoulder pressure, thinking I'm going to be able to hold him down. He manages to get his knee shield in. He's able to regain half guard, but I'll be damned if I let him get back to full guard. I hunker down into half guard looking for an opportunity to advance my offensive position. I cannot let him retain his guard. I notice that he brings his neck up, and I look to attack the guillotine. I'm not really getting much of a reaction from Nate, so that tells me that my choke is not very tight. So that means I must lean a little bit farther to the left, and I start to notice he brings his knee shield down to my leg. This might be the opportunity I've been waiting for. At this point, I have fallen completely on my left shoulder, and I'm looking to elevate my elbow to get it as high as I can to finish this choke. I am seconds away from finishing this match. His knee shield falls down to my knee, and I see an opportunity to come into mount. Let's be honest, guys. That was not a very good guillotine attempt. Tyler would be disappointed. I am completely and utterly gassed. I feel as if I have nothing left in me. I put all I had into that last choke. Nate comes up on top of me, looking to pin my hips to the mat and pass my guard. I'm trying everything in my power not to let him pass into side control, but eventually he does. As soon as I move to deep half, I feel him fall back on his hip. Man, this was close. And I mean, really close. But I managed to free myself by kicking him from behind with my other leg. You can see I'm totally ready to pass out from exhaustion. I'm not sure how he's feeling, but all I hear is my professor screaming at me to get on top. I look up and I can see the time running out on the clock. So, what do I pull out? The classic white belt Hail Mary ankle lock for the end. Which I might add might be the most horrendous ankle lock I've ever seen. He ends up going for the same. His is much better than mine. And I remember my professor yelling at me, "You have 5 seconds left." And I just remember thinking to myself, "You're going to have to snap it, Nate." I'm not tapping. As time runs out, we are both drained. And we have a quick bro moment before we move into overtime. A quick nod of approval, acknowledging that the battle that we just shared together will be unforgettable. But without further ado, let's jump into overtime. Overtime is measured by the fastest submission time or the fastest escape time. So we each get an opportunity from either the seated back position or armbar position. Nate takes home the first dub by submitting me within 9 seconds. But it's not quite over yet. If I can submit him faster than that, then I can take home the win. But if not... Here he goes, guys. Pressure's on. I need to finish him in the first 9 seconds. Otherwise, I lose this match. And he gets out. And we take our first loss for the day. Which, unfortunate, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was an extremely good match, a great show of sportsmanship. And I hope to keep that bond for a lifetime, man. So, Nate, if you're watching this, I appreciate you. You definitely poked some holes in my game, which I definitely think I've worked on since then. So I'd like to get a rematch in, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. But you won't want to miss out on what's coming up next. We still got the gi division, and we still have the absolute division, which is any weight, any size, same belt rank. So stay tuned for the rest of the match day tournament. Yeah, tournament.